the number of hunters, but they have the ability to take 2 does instead of just 1. So instead of 1,000 hunters out there, just a question, and I don't know if the department has ever done anything like that in the past or would think about doing it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, Paul Dixon, Clark Cab. Again, thank you, Tom, for the great presentation. In the absence of that presentation, which you said, Commissioner Drew, which would have been nice to head out to the cabs, I made the arguments of why we have a doe hunt, why we have a doe harvest to the cab members based on the Area 10 doe hunt that I participated in 6 or 10 years ago. What was it? I'm not really sure. It was a while ago. We had that. The question I had from that came out of that to me that I wanted to know is during the Area 10 doe hunt, when we were looking at reducing numbers and doing things, we did a lot of biologic studies. We actually had an incentive program for people to bring in the heart, the liver, give condition of the animals killed. I didn't see that with this emergency hunt. I realized we were trying to do it for fire, but this, to me, with the doe hunt, which you would not usually get, you have a great opportunity to collect a tremendous amount of herd health information from the harvesting of these does, since the does will represent a lot of the health of the herd coming into this. And I would think that we would want to potentially, if we had the funds, actually collect that information from this harvest, from the hunters harvesting things. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any further public comment in Las Vegas? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Hubbs.
I think that was a really good point. I think if you can collect that data, especially with the type of burn and the history of that area, it might really help manage it more effectively.
Further comment from the commission? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that the commission approve the action taken by the department for the emergency antlerless deer hunts for portions of units 067 and 068. And perhaps we could ask the department to coordinate with BLM in determining if there's any process for the feral horses in those areas to be rounded up in an emergency situation.
A motion by Commissioner Valentine. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Valentine with a second by Commissioner Barnes to approve the emergency antlerless deer hunt as presented by the department, with the addition of working with BLM to see if the feral horses could be rounded up. Is that summarizing what you said?
If we could have some communication, some effort to communicate with BLM to determine whether or not there is a possibility of a feral horse roundup in that area to be hunted.
Commissioner McNinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason I didn't second the motion was, and I guess this is going to be a question for Dag Ward, are we getting outside of our bounds when we're talking about the feral horses and introducing that into one of our motions? While I agree with it, and I think that we should do something, should send a letter, it might be one of those things where we don't include it in our motion, but we just express our hopes that the department does that outside of the motion. I'm just so.
For the record, Harry Ward, Deputy Attorney General. Typical attorney response is yes and no. This commission has a lot of authority, but yes, it does appear that it is beyond what's on the agenda in regards to the horses. So I would say yes.
I think we can still get there, but I didn't want to get ourselves in a position to where we were losing the support that we're trying to provide to the department because of something that we might be able to handle outside of the motions.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner McNinch. I'd love to, provide direction to write a letter in support of prioritizing the rehab, and if there is a horse issue, and Tom, I don't know if there is in that particular part of the world addressing that, but I think it's outside the bounds of what's provided in the agenda, and I don't want to hold up our process or what the department has to do in terms of implementing this hunt because of a glitch with open meeting law. So my recommendation would be striking the horse portion of the motion, and then I'd be absolutely supportive.
Commissioner Epps?
Is that something that we can add to future agendas? I mean, obviously, we could talk about that maybe moving forward because it's going to take some time for that burned area to rehabilitate.
I believe so, under agenda item 30, for sure.
Further commission comment?
Why withdraw my motion?
That is up to you.
Or I can amend it. I'll amend the motion that the commission vote to support the department's action, and that'll be my motion.
I'd second it.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Is everyone clear on the question?
Question is to approve the emergency hunt as presented.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, and I will, and obviously I'll be supporting that with the hope, just as a statement from me, that we're able to pursue the wild horse, the concept of the wild horses being managed out there like we have to manage our wildlife.
Okay, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously, 8-0.